I'm Dr. D. Mahammad Rafi, Associate Professor, Department of Cybersecurity at Institute of Aeronautical Engineering. Today I want to discuss about the computer network subject, in which the topic is IPv4 and IPv6 addressing. The outcome of the IPv4 and IPv6 addressing, that means Internet Protocol version 4 and Internet the Protocol version 6 the addressing. By using this IPv4, the outcome of this IPv4 is, which is using the 32-bit address space, which is leading to the address, the ejection and reliable on a network address as the translations for the scalability. IPv6, the outcome of the IPv6 is now, which is expands to a 128-bit address space, which is the providing the virtual unlimited addresses and eliminating the need for the network address as the translations. And with the help of this IPv4 and IPv6 now providing the more the security. That means IPv6, it is an enhancement of the IPv4. With comparing with the IPv4, by using this IPv4, IPv6 we can provide the more security for whatever the data we are going to transferring. That data more securely can able to transfer with help of the IPv6. Here, which is IPv4, why? Because which is a 32-bit address space, which is providing, but IPv6 providing the 128 other bits. It is providing the address spaces. So that means now, which is enhancement for the IPv4. Here, this IPv6 has built-in Internet the Protocol the security, which is supporting more the security and authenticated, authorized the users only can access these are the secured the data. So here is the, while IPv4 now, which is released on a external the security mechanisms. These are all the outcomes of IPv4 and IPv6 security. Introduction to IPv4 and IPv6. First, what is an IP address? IP address is nothing but it is a Internet the protocol. If we want to transfer the data through the Internet, and if we want to communicate, if we want to establish the communication, here is now one protocol is required. Generally, these are the protocols, Internet other protocols, any other protocols, which is the frame with the set of rules and other regulations. By using the rules and other regulations only, these other protocols can be designed. And by this designing with the rules and regulation and the designing now, effectively we can transferring the other communication, which is enabling the communication between the devices. On the internet means the global transmissions. If we are going to transfer the data globally here, so with help of this IP protocols now, we can transfer the data or information globally. That means the local networking, global networking, local networking now. By supporting of this internet the protocol, we can transfer. Here, this IP, which is a unique identifier for a device on a network. Whatever the other devices we are using for a device on a network now, which is uniquely identified. That means now, the device, if it is working on communication, working with the global communication or local communication now, which is having it's a unique identifier. That is the IP address. With this, the IP address now, the service can be provided. The communication service can be provided. So that is a unique identifier. IP, for example, here now, IPv4. IPv4, it is the example for the IPv4 is the format, it is a numerical format. The address now, Internet as a protocol address can be represented in the form of the numerical format. Numerical format means 192.168.1.1. That means each and every other digit, so which is separated by the decimal point, decimal notation. So here is the octet. Here is now 192, the size is one octet, and 162 is another octet. 1 is another octet, is a number of in the form of this the octets now, the size now it is octet. Here, so in this IP address now, which is having the two parts, this is the first two part. This is the first two part. Now, this part is a network ID. This is a network ID. 192.168.1 is a network ID, and .1 is a host ID. Host ID. That means the IP address, it is the combination of the two parts. One is a network ID, another one is a host ID. With the help of these two other combination, providing the service. Generally now this IPv4 which is used in a home networks, any Wi-Fi's. So utilized whatever the Wi-Fi's are utilizing in a domestic or home. Now home network, now this can be utilized. And also now this IPv4 can be utilized for the small business setups. Any offices, any banking systems, any small offices that can be utilized. This IP addressing can be utilizing. By using this IP as addressing now, the global information, we can able to access the global information and providing the global communication. Mainly here is a gateway for the many routers. This is this IP address now, which is the commonly used for the default as the gateway. Default gateway for the many users. So this is about this IP address as the definition now. IPv6 also another example. IPv6 now, which is represented in a hexadecimal format. So here IPv4, each and every digit it is separated by the dot decimal point. But in IPv4 now, which is separated by the colon, every digit now which is in a hexadecimal. So it is a octet. In IPv4 we are presenting octet, every digit having the octet. But in IPv6 now, every digit in a hexadecimal format. 2001 it is a hexadecimal format. So 0D, BD, B8 is a hexadecimal format, and every digit now which is separated by the colon. So that is a hexadecimal notation that can be represented. Generally, this Internet as a Protocol version 6, it is advanced enhancement. That means now it is enhancement of the IPv4 as a protocol. What are the issues or what are the problems are coming in a IPv4? All these other problems or the issues can be resolved by using the IPv6 as a protocol. Here is now generally it is used in a advanced or large area networks. Now the complicated area networks or large area networks, and the IoT devices also, this IPv6 Internet as a Protocol version 6, this as a protocol can be used and providing the communication over the large area networks and IoT devices. Generally, it can be utilized. Here is now IPv6 now, which is provides the large address spaces. Large address spaces comparing than the IPv4, and which is supporting the billions and trillions of other devices now. It can be supported, which is providing these billions of other address spaces can be provided over the communications. So this is about another example for the IP protocol. IP protocol now, which is categorized mainly IPv4 and IPv6 addresses. So here is it's IPv4. Now it is generally IPv4 now, Internet as a service can be provided with help of the IPv4. So this is Internet as a service as a providing now with help of this other router. So small offices or small offices or homes or domestic purpose now, these IPv4 can be utilized. Here is while providing this other communication now, the devices are it is a home devices. These are all the home or the devices, laptops or mobile devices, or these are the PCs now, which is utilized for the small, which for home networks or small business, the business organization. This is the setup for this one. Generally now the switches can be arranged. Switches and routers can be arranged with help of this the switches and the routers now, providing the Internet or the services to laptops or your other PCs. And the mobile devices or end devices, any devices, and the wireless access point, Wi-Fi, wireless the fidelity, wireless access point without the wires now, providing the other services with help of the IPv4 or the protocol. Here is now IPv4 and IPv6. So it is an advanced and a large area network. That is now IPv6. This is about the IPv6 now. Here is now in IPv6 is the enhancement of the IPv4. So this is the access points now providing the devices, large area networks. Now this network is the device having the one network, and this is another device having the another network. So another network here, number of other networks, large area networks can be utilized with help of these the routers now. With help of these routers, the hub points now, accessing points. With help of the accessing points now, all the devices can be accessed the internet as a services now, providing the communications between the one device to another device now with the help of this access point. So which is IPv6 now, which is provide the very effective communication. Here is now, if you see, so this is the large area network, so Wi-Fi wireless the network now. So providing the multiple devices, providing the services to the any smart devices, any phones, smartphones or laptops or mobile devices. So any that is smart vehicles, any smart watches, providing the services too. So with help of this IPv6 now, provide the internet other services, provide the communications to different other devices. That is a large area networks and IoT devices also now providing the communication with help of the IPv6 the protocol. It is the enhancement of the IPv4 the protocol. Here is the differences between the IPv4 and IPv6 the protocol is now address length. Address length in IPv4 the protocol is a 32 bit. And in IPv6, the protocol, the address length is a 128 bits. Here is the address format. Address format now, which is dotted as a decimal, separated by the dotted decimal now, 192.168.1.1. So here is the hexadecimal format. Hexadecimal format, here is each and every other digit in hexadecimal the format now, which is separated by the colon. Here is address in terms of the address space now, IPv4, which is providing the 4.3 billion addresses to the different networks. And IPv6, if you take the IPv6 now, which is providing the 340 undecillion addresses to the different other devices over the different networks, large area networks. The size of the header size in IPv4 is 20 bytes. The size in IPv6 is 40 bytes. So here is now the configurations are manually can be done. Or the configuration in IPv6 is auto configurations and DH as a CP v6 the configurations can be done. And if you see communication. The communication, it is unicast, broadcast, multicast, providing the this with help of this IPv4 now, providing the communication unicast. That means unicast, one device to one device now, data transparency can be done and the communication can be done from one device to the other device. Broadcasting means here, so that means one device to the multiple devices. Broadcasting. Multicasting means establish the communication from multiple device to many devices to many devices, many to many. That is a IPv4. IPv4 now all these other services can be provided. In IPv6 now unicast, multicast, anycast, no broadcast. Here anycast, unicast and multicast, anycast services can be provided with help of the IPv6 and the protocols. And the security in terms of this the security. So security, it is as optional. That means now internet as a protocol security is not as a mandatory for IPv4 protocol. But now in terms of this IPv6 which is providing the security is a mandatory for IPv6 as a protocol. If you are going to transferring the data by providing the IPv6 as a protocol now, that means your data will be more secure. more secure data. That is the best example in a banking. Online transactions are the more secure. For that, no password authentication, providing the PIN number for the authentication for the confirmation. So then providing the more security and mobility as support. That means limited enhanced the support for the mobile and IoT devices. So for mobile and IoT devices, providing the enhanced services. And the routing, that means flat or hierarchical, less efficiency. The routing is the flat or hierarchical. Hierarchical means more efficient routers. Routers will be provided. The transitions. In terms of these the transitions, no direct support for the IPv6 and migrations. And in terms of this transition for IPv4 now, designed to coexist and the transitions from the IPv4. So this is about the transitions for IPv6 and IPv4 and challenges here. So main challenges in terms of this address space now. One challenge is the providing the addresses. 4.3 billion addresses need to provide over the network. It is a big challenge. And IPv6 the challenge means now the transitions to the IPv4 due to the complexity or infrastructure. Due to the complexity or infrastructure. Here is due to this transitioning to the IPv6 due to the complexity and the infrastructure, the cost. The configuration now, in terms of this the configurations, the challenging, the factor of this the IPv4 is a manual configuration. So manual need to do, if you want to do the manual configuration, it is a very challenging. Why? Because limited DHCP the functionality. DHCP functionality now with this now. It is the configuration, manual configuration. That means now limited DHCP means a dynamic host configuration protocol. This is a dynamic host configuration protocol. It should be very limited. So that is one challenging here. And in terms of the configurations in a way for IPv6 protocol means need to upgrading the existing systems to support the auto configurations to DHCP v6. That is a dynamic host the configuration the protocol version 6. So this is the configurations in terms of this configuration. In terms of this the security, the challenging in IPv4 is now that is Internet Protocol security lists the vulnerabilities. These now, if you are providing the security with help of this IPv4 now, the network, whatever the network now we are providing the security with help of this IPv4, the data is that means there is a vulnerability, the weakness. Now easily the hackers can be hacked by if you provide the security with help of this IPv4. But now IPv6 now, so very the complexity, hackers can't able to hack now, providing the more the security by using the IPv6. Internet as a protocol security will be very high security. If any other person want to hack the data, so very impossible this for hacking this the data. It is a very complexity. So in terms of the implementations, so this is the security, providing the more security for whatever the data you are going to transferring over the large area of the other networks. And network as a performance. If you take the network as a performance, network as a performance in terms of this IPv4, which is a larger routing tables now, require the larger routing tables. This is one challenging. Arranging larger routing tables over this the communication media. So it is one challenging factor, and inefficient header processing. So this is the challenging with the IPv4. And the network of the performance challenging is a large address spaces may increase the domain name of the system or the lookup overhead. That means now overhead can be occurred. So this is a challenging factor in a network for achieving the network of the performance. And the compatibility. Compatibility means now incompatibility with the modern devices and IoT requirements. So here is the IPv4 and IPv4 protocol. It is if you take the modern devices and IoT as the requirements now, IoT devices now, it is incompatible. It is incompatible. And also the compatibility in terms of the IPv6 now, the legacy systems and the applications do not support the IPv6 now, which is not supporting the IPv6 Internet Protocol version 6 now, which is not supporting. And that means now if you see here, Except now the deployment that means not scalable for the future IoTs. For future IoTs now it is not as scalable, and the mobile devices are the growth. So it is a deployment now which is required the IPv6 now which is required the dual stack as a tunneling. That means now during this the transmission now dual stack is required in a IPv6. That is a deployment of the IPv6 protocol. That means now training and expertization. Training and expertization now for IPv4 now it is a minimal need for the specialized training. And then the challenges in IPv6 is a need for the retraining the IT staffs and IPv6 which is configurations and management that is required. For retraining is required training and expectation. These are all the challenges. That means for IT staff and information technology staff and those who are working on the with help of this IPv6 the protocol now, the training is required. The training is required, and also the configuration and the management also the required. That is the training and the expertizations. And the cost means a low maintenance of the cost, but the limited the features and the scalability. The features are scalability are the very limited here, and the cost in terms of these challenges in IPv6 now here very highly initial the investment, very highly initial investment in infrastructure and the upgradations. These are all the in terms of this the cost challenges of the IPv6. Here, the applications of the IPv4. Applications means now internet other communications. IPv4 can be utilized internet other communications. In internet communication now with help of this IPv4 the protocol here, the global information we can able to access the global information or local information. We can able to access and communicating from the two other devices over the internet. That means which is providing the communication and the facility between the two other different other devices on the internet, over the internet now, providing the communication and the facility. Private networks. So private network now is one of the application, not only in the internet, the private networks also. It is the private networks are very high authenticated networks, high authenticated authorized networks now. So that is a local area networks or wide area networks. Any other private networks now, which is local networks with the private address spaces. The private network now, which is having the private address space for the internet and the communication. Now protecting. These the private the networks are protect the internet the services or communication whatever the communications are establishing. These are the private networks now, which is very high security the networks now. Can't with the help of this the password mechanism only here sharing the information, routing and addressing. Next one is a routing and addressing. Routing and addressing now, which providing the best route. With help of this IPv4 now, best route and unique identifier. That means unique device identifier by identifying the unique device identifier. For that unique device identifier now, which is providing the best route, providing the logical addressing for the routing data across the networks. That means here logical addressing. What is logical addressing means now it will be generated while transferring the data. So these while transferring the data, generally these logical addressing can be provided. That means now by the CPU now, by the CPU at the sender side now, while executing this program, then only these are the logical addressing that can be generated by generating the logical addresses. So it will be converted to the physical addresses. Then only the routing can be established for that whatever the content you are going to transferring. Whatever the information you are going to transferring, that transferring information can be converted for the routing and the data across the networks. This is about the routing and addressing. Here is the routing and addressing now. That means now with help of these the addressings, different other devices, different networks now. So from that the different devices, different networks now, unique address can be identified and provide the best route, best path for data transmissions. This is about the routing and addressing. And domain name systems, that is a DNS. IPv4 can be utilized for domain name systems where domain names are mapped to the corresponding IP addresses. Now, each and every organization having its separate domain name. That means now if we take the JNTU organization, jnww.jntu.ac.in, so which is having some separate domain. And if you take any private organizations and They are having some other subnet at the domain now, which is a resolution where domain name is mapping to the corresponding IP addresses. Whenever the domain name is mapping to the corresponding IP addresses now, then only which is providing the services, then only which is providing the communications over the internet, the voice over the IP. That means IPv4 now, which is supporting the VoIP technologies for the transmitting voice data over the internet. Over the internet now, voice data can be other product. That means mobile communication. Best example is mobile communications or Zoom meeting or other conferences, video conferences, or the Skype or Zoom meetings. These are all the best example for the VoIP. Gaming and multimedia. Gaming and multimedia means it is a online. Now many online games and multimedia the services uses the IPv4 and IPv4 for connecting and data transmitting. Here is the in a gaming and multimedia here. Multimedia, that means now that is a Netflix, YouTube. These are all the multimedia stream. That means online video streaming or online audio video streamings now. So these IPv4 can be utilized, and the gaming services also. Many online games can be provided. Live games can be provided with help of this IPv4 protocols. Now these are the games now that will be mapped to the IPv4 protocol. So then that will be access to that other games. Here is the applications of the IPv6. IPv6 now, so it is the internet the expansion purpose now we can use here. So this is the extension, it is the enhancement of the IPv4. IPv6 is the enhancement of the IPv4 now, which is enabling the continued growth of the internet. For the communication, data communication now, the growth can be improved. The large the pool of the IP addresses, internet the protocol addresses now will provide the large the pool. That means providing more address spaces over the internet networking or over the local area the networking now, which provide the more number of address spaces, IoT devices also. And these IoT devices also another application for IPv6 now. That means smartwatches or smartphones or smart devices now. That is all are comes under the IoT other devices now, which is providing the unique IP addresses for vast number of the Internet of Things other devices. Here is now for the vast number of the Internet of the Things addresses now. The better the security. Better security means the built-in internet protocol security for enhancing the data encryptions and the security. So that means now multicast the communication. Multicast the communication means now which is support the efficient data delivery. Here is now which is support for the efficient data delivery to the multiple recipients and streaming services. That means Netflix. These are multicasting services. Multicasting the communication means many device to many device. Data transparency can be done from many device to many device. That is nothing but a multicast of the communication. So, which is supporting very efficient data delivery can be transferred to this particular whatever the devices now, wherever now we are going to transferring now. That for that the transferring device now effectively reliably the data can be transferred. That means multiple receivers. That is streaming services. Here is now mobile networking, mobile communications. Mobile communications also now, that is IoT device. Mobile communication is comes under the IoT device. Now it is used which is in which the mobile and networking also now we are using the IPv6 the protocol. IPv6 protocol we can ensure the seamless of the mobility and network the handovers for the other devices. Now this is the mobile and the networking. And global addressings. These are the global addressings now, which is offers the virtually the unlimited address spaces. Virtually unlimited the address spaces. Address the spaces for the worldwide the connectivity. Worldwide the connectivity now. Address spaces can be provided. The peer-to-peer networking now, which is the facilitate the direct the device to device. That means one device to one device direct the communication can be provided without the interfaces in the peer-to-peer applications. This is about the peer-to-peer networking. So in this all networking now, this IPv6 protocol can be utilized. The DNS. And DNS means now for mapping the domain name to IPv4 and IPv6 now. So it is that can be utilized here. And IPv6 IP IPv6 and IPv4 serves the different needs. That means no, here is both protocols. These are all the outcomes of the these are conclusions, the summation of this IPv4 and IPv6 is no, IPv4 and IPv6 serves the different needs. Not that means now these two protocols. So both protocols are very essential for modern networking and the functionalities. And also IPv4 are the limitations. IPv4 now with finite address spaces. IPv4 which is having the finite address spaces facing the exactions due to the growing the number of other connected devices. Now IPv6 the advantages IPv6 now is provide the large address spaces by providing the large address spaces now, which is also improve the high security mechanism comparing the IPv4 and better the support for the IoTs or mobile networking devices. IPv6 the coexistence, that means IPv4 is still widely used, but IPv6 is IPv6 now it is becoming the increasing the very important for internet and scalability and global connectivity. The transitions to the IPv4 and IPv6 that means now IPv4 to IPv6 that can be transmissions the possible that the both of the protocols will coexist as the transitions to IPv6 the progress. And here, so this is about the IPv6 and IPv4. Thank you.
Like, share and subscribe. Hit the bell icon for more updates.